Have you ever sat in a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Maybe you've laughed at the right moments, joined every conversation, answered every message, showed up for everyone who needed you. Yet somehow, when you finally returned home, the silence felt heavier than ever. Loneliness isn't always about being physically alone. Sometimes, it appears in the middle of a marriage, inside a close family, at dinner with friends, or even while scrolling through hundreds of people online. Because loneliness has very little to do with how many people surround you, and everything to do with how deeply you feel seen. Many people spend years believing they simply need more friends, a better relationship, a bigger social circle. But what if that isn't the real problem? What if you've been surrounded by people, while hiding the person you truly are? Today, we'll explore why emotional loneliness can exist even in the busiest life, and why the connection you've been searching for may begin somewhere completely unexpected. The deepest kind of loneliness doesn't happen because nobody is around you. It happens when nobody truly knows you, including yourself. Many of us learn, from a very young age, to become who other people need us to be. The quiet child, the responsible one, the strong one, the funny one, the successful one. Little by little, we become experts at wearing masks. At work, we wear one. With our family, another. With friends, another. And after years of doing this, something strange begins to happen. People love the version of us they've always seen, but almost no one knows the person hidden underneath. How could they? We've spent so much time protecting ourselves that vulnerability begins to feel dangerous. We fear that if people saw our sadness, our fears, our imperfections, they might leave. So we smile. We say, "I'm fine." We keep conversations safe and comfortable. We become surrounded by people, yet emotionally invisible. This is why someone can receive dozens of messages every day, and still feel painfully alone. Because attention is not the same as connection. Being surrounded is not the same as being understood. And until someone sees the real you, loneliness quietly remains, even in a crowded room. Over time, this kind of loneliness begins to change you. Not all at once, but quietly. You stop sharing what you're really thinking. You convince yourself that no one would understand anyway. You begin answering every question with, "I'm okay," even when you're falling apart inside. You become physically present, but emotionally absent. The conversations become shorter. The smiles become automatic. The laughter feels rehearsed. And slowly, you forget what it feels like to be completely yourself around another human being. The hardest part is that emotional loneliness is almost invisible. People look at your life and assume you're doing well. You have a job, a family, friends, responsibilities, maybe even success. But none of those things guarantee connection. Because connection isn't built by being seen. It's built by being known. Many people spend years chasing busier schedules, more achievements, or more social interactions, hoping the emptiness will finally disappear. But emotional loneliness cannot be solved by adding more people to your life. It begins to heal only when you stop hiding from the people who truly matter. And stop hiding from yourself. Perhaps the greatest tragedy isn't that we are alone. It's that we slowly become strangers to our own hearts. There is a quiet truth that many people discover only after years of feeling alone. The opposite of loneliness is not popularity. It is authenticity. You can spend your entire life surrounded by people, and still feel unseen. Or you can have only a few meaningful relationships, and never feel alone. The difference is not in the number of people around you. It is in the courage to let yourself be known. That courage does not begin with telling everyone your deepest fears. It begins with something much smaller. Allowing yourself to be honest. Admitting when you're not okay. Sharing an opinion even if it isn't popular. Saying what you truly need instead of what you think others want to hear. For someone who has spent years hiding behind perfection, these small moments can feel terrifying. But they are also the beginning of real connection. Because people cannot connect with a version of you that only exists to please them. They can only connect with the person who is willing to be real. And perhaps that is why so many people remain lonely. Not because they have no one to talk to, but because they never feel safe enough to stop performing. Real connection begins the moment you realize you do not have to earn your place in someone's life by pretending to be someone else. The people who truly matter will never ask you to hide your humanity. They will meet you where honesty begins. And sometimes, that single moment of honesty is enough to make years of loneliness feel a little lighter. Healing loneliness does not begin by filling your calendar. It begins by creating space where you no longer need to hide. The first relationship you rebuild is not with another person. It is with yourself. Spend a few quiet minutes each day without reaching for your phone. Without distracting yourself. Without trying to escape the silence. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Because silence has a way of revealing what constant noise keeps hidden. But if you stay with it, something begins to change. You start hearing your own thoughts again. Not the expectations of others. Not the endless opinions of the world. Your own voice. You begin noticing what brings you peace. What drains your energy. What you've been pretending to enjoy. And what your heart has been quietly asking for all along. From that place of honesty, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing connection out of desperation. Instead, you begin attracting relationships where you no longer need to perform. Where silence is not awkward. Where vulnerability is not weakness. Where you are valued, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. Remember this. One authentic conversation is more powerful than 100 shallow interactions. One person who truly understands you is worth more than a room full of people who only know your mask. And sometimes, the moment you stop trying to belong everywhere, is the moment you finally find where you truly belong. Perhaps loneliness was never trying to punish you. Perhaps it was trying to tell you something. Not that you needed more people, but that you needed a deeper connection. With your own heart, with your own truth, with the parts of yourself you have been quietly hiding for far too long. You do not have to become louder to be noticed. You do not have to become someone else to be loved. And you do not have to fill every moment with noise to prove that your life has meaning. Sometimes, healing begins with a single quiet decision. The decision to stop pretending. The decision to let one trusted person see the real you. The decision to sit with yourself without judgment. That is not weakness. It is courage. Real connection does not begin when everyone accepts you. It begins when you accept yourself enough to stop hiding. And from that place, the loneliness that once felt endless begins to soften. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you are finally meeting yourself with honesty instead of fear. So tonight, before you fall asleep, ask yourself one simple question. When was the last time I allowed someone to know the real me? You don't need to answer it perfectly. You only need to answer it truthfully. Because every meaningful relationship begins with one honest moment. And perhaps, that moment can begin today. If this message spoke to your heart, leave a comment with the words, "I choose connection." I'd love to hear your story. And if you're searching for a quieter mind, deeper relationships, and lasting inner peace, subscribe and continue this journey with the quiet strength. Until next time, find strength within, live in peace.